Hello dear students, welcome to the subject area of childhood and growing up, and in this module I welcome you to this module of childhood and adolescence. Now childhood and adolescence is a period which is very important in anybody's life, and it is a period which is generally associated with all the happy feelings. I am sure you must have heard about the song हम भी अगर बच्चे होते नाम हमारा होता डब्लू बबलू खाने को मिलते लड्डू. But think about it, do you think this is a period in which everybody is experiencing all the joys and happiness? Nothing, it's not like that. So it's a combination of lot of feelings and sentiments for almost everybody. In this particular module, we will be discussing about the various issues and concerns which everybody faces during their childhood and adolescence. We will be primarily focusing on the social, emotional, health and equity issues. Now, in this module, the various learning outcomes will be, you will be able to elaborate upon childhood as a stage of development, explain how self-concept and self-esteem are developed in childhood, discuss the considerations for development of positive self-concept and self-esteem, define bullying and its various forms, and how can we as teachers prepare our children to tackle with bullying. Analyze the various feelings children undergo in case of their parents separating or divorcing, or in case they lose any one or both of their parents, and summarize on the concept of child abuse and the various forms, give indicators for identification of victims of child abuse. Next is enumerate the measures to be taken in case of any abuse which is reported within the school premises and what should be the role of the school. Next session will be about define adolescence and stages of development, elaborate upon the various issues and concerns of an adolescence, and summarize the considerations of positive self-concept and self-identity as it is developed in the period of adolescence, discuss the various types of eating disorders which are prevalent in children and adolescents, analyze the impact of social media, critically analyze the violent tendencies, elaborate upon the sexual tendencies which are prevalent among adolescents, discuss the concepts of equity and inclusion. We will also be discussing about the various barriers which happen with the inclusive practices. Now, first of all, in this particular module, we will be discussing about childhood and its various stages. As we all know, childhood is divided into, or the first 20 years of a person's life, they are divided into predominantly three phases. One is infancy, which happens from birth to 2 years of age. Then comes childhood, which ranges from 2 years to 12 years. Now, this period of 2 years to 12 years is also divided into two phases. One is early childhood, the other is middle childhood. Early childhood is between 2 years to 6 years. Now, you will find in the literature it's not only about 2 years and 6 years. Some of the literature will also point out that between 2 to 8 years is the period of early childhood, and subsequently from 8 years to 12 years is the period of middle childhood. Adolescence is from 13 to 20 years. Now, when we are talking of childhood, let me give you an opportunity to think about your own childhood. What are the different types of memories? Can you think of some memories which were happy, sad, angry, fearful, anxious, loving? I am sure your childhood would be a mix of all of these different feelings, and it is generally said that childhood does not end with childhood, it continues throughout the entire lifetime of a person. Now, can you understand the meaning of this particular statement? Or why do you think it is said like that? The childhood does not end with childhood, when specifically in psychological terms we say that childhood is up to 12 years of age. Now, what are the reasons behind it? Basically because childhood, or the experiences that we have in our childhood, those very experiences define the person that we are, define what kind of personality will we have, will define what kind of a self-concept and self-esteem which are developed within us. So, a person like all of you are students of education, you must be doing your B.Ed or maybe your D.El.Ed. You must have already done your schooling and you are definitely out of your adolescence. Now, today whatever you are, it is basically because of the experiences which you have had in your childhood days. So, in this particular module, we will be discussing about the different issues and concerns of childhood. For example, development of self-concept and self-esteem, issues of bullying, different ways, and the very grievous issue of child abuse, eating disorders, children and parents divorcing, separation or losing of one or both of the parents, and the impact of social media these days on the lives and personalities of children and adolescents. First of all, let us try to discuss about the concept of self-concept and its development. Now, what do we mean by self-concept? Self-concept is our own understanding about our own self. What do you think, what kind of a person I am? So, this is, and self-concept is a continuous concept which keeps on developing, and the very notion that I am a person who has a separate identity keeps on developing right from the child is very young. Child learns to say that this is my pencil, this is my cycle, I love my parents. That means this emergence of the concept of me, I, is a basic constituent of identity or self-concept. Now, if you look into the definition, self-concept is a knowledge representation or schema that contains knowledge about us, including our beliefs, our personality traits, physical characteristics, abilities, values, goals and roles, as well as the knowledge that we exist as individuals. This definition was given to us by Kagan in 1991. Now, according to Erikson's theory, which I am sure you must have studied about in your psychology paper, Erikson has given number of stages. So, if we look into the stages given by Erikson and the stages which are commensurating with this stage of childhood, that is from 2 years to 12 years of age, there are 3 stages which we are looking into. That is autonomy versus shame and doubt, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority. Now, if you look into all of these words, autonomy, initiative, industry. So, the theories basically say that the child, they would want to develop or they would want to be independent, they would want to do things on their own. Now, children who are given these opportunities of working on their own and coming out successful, these are the children who develop very positive self-concept, and whereas the children who are either not given the opportunities of working on their own or being self-dependent or doing things on their own, or their efforts are not recognized, or they do not come out successful and they are not being motivated, these are the children who will develop lot of shame and doubt or guilt or feelings of inferiority. We must also keep this thing in mind कि all the complexes, like we are talking of inferiority complex, these complexes are developed right at this stage, and if somebody develops, a child develops feelings of inferiority, these are very difficult to get rid with in later stages. So, a child who develops these feelings, self-concept, remains with the person throughout. So, it is very important for the parents as well as the teachers to understand that, give the child opportunities to do things for himself or herself. Now, let us take some example. There is a small child and this child goes to school and parents are there. The parents, it is the responsibility of the parent to send the child to the school. Now, parents are working maybe and they do not have the time to give or let the child prepare or get dressed on his or her own. So, what do? That they will put the child in front of them, they will put on all the clothes, they will put on all the tie, belt, shoes, etc., and the child is sent off to school. Now, in this process, what is the child learning? Not only that child is not learning to get ready on his or her own, the child is also learning that I am not capable of doing this on my own, that my parents do not trust me with getting ready on my own. So, these are the feelings which the child is learning inherently from the very early on, that I am not capable of doing something. So, these are the things which are not to be done. Similarly, in the school scenario also, teachers do not let the students do things on their own. If everything is fed to them, the children will never get this feelings that I am capable of doing something on my own. So, it is very important that for development of a positive self-concept that we do that. Okay. So, coming forward to the concept self-concept, so it is basically knowledge about our own self, which is the informational side of ourselves. So, it is concerned with who I am, And factual description, say for example, I'm a female, I am so many years old, I look this and I like this, I don't like this, things like that. Now we come to the another associated concept, which is self-esteem. So self-esteem is my own feelings about my own self-concept. That means I must have understood myself that I am so and so, I have these many strengths, I have these many limitations. Now what do I actually feel about those things? Am I happy with that, or am I not so happy with that? That is basically self-esteem. So self-esteem is general attitude about yourself, about your own self, extent to which we approve or value our own selves and our own feelings towards our self-concept. Say for example, there are two children. Both the children feel that okay, academically we are not so good. Both the children feel that we feel that teachers don't like us. We feel that we are not very acceptable in our peer group also. So this is their self-concept. So but there might be a difference in their self-esteem. One child may be quite happy and quite easygoing about it. It's okay, doesn't matter. The other child may be feeling very bad about it. So with the same kind of self-concept, you may have different, or you may see children with different kinds of self-esteem. It's about self-esteem is about accepting yourself, whether you accept the person that you are or not. Okay, let us come to the factors which determine the development of self-concept. The first and the foremost is your relationship with parents, teachers and siblings. How do you think they perceive you as a person? So it's about control, how much control the parents as well as the teachers are exercising on the child. If there are different parenting styles, and I will not go into that because of time constraints, but if the parents who are more permissive, who are more, I mean, they give opportunities to their children to do things on their own, and then they appreciate and motivate, these children tend to develop higher self-esteem and self-concept. Failures and successes, every child will undergo some failure or some success. It depends on the way these are handled. If successes are celebrated and failures are in a way children are motivated to learn things out of their failures and move on, children will develop a positive self-concept. Taking responsibility is another very important thing. The children need to learn to take on responsibility at home as well as at schools. These will give them opportunities to feel happy about themselves. Comparisons with siblings. Now this is something which many parents do. They will compare their one child with the other, or they will compare their own child with their friends or relatives' child. Oh, such and such boy or a girl is getting so much of marks or is doing so well, and why are you not doing so well? These are things which have a very deep impact, negative impact on the self-concept of any child, not to be done. Another very important factor is physical characteristics or appearances. These days, children as young as 3-year-old are very conscious about their physical appearance. You must have seen children while they are losing their teeth, they will not speak, or they will not open their mouth, and if they are laughing, they will cover their mouth because they don't want others to see that their teeth are missing. So this is what, and these are very few instances which show that children are very conscious. So if they are happy about their appearance, it can have a good impact on their self-esteem and self-concept. But if they are not happy with their own appearance and with the peer group that they are moving in, they get to know whether they are attractive or not. It has a lot of impact on their self-concept. Then comes a very important thing, peer acceptance. How well received they are in their own peer group. So whether they conform, so every child would want to be a part of the group. So if they are rejected by the group, it has a deep impact on their self-concept. So if we look into the dynamics of group, we can see that there are some sociometric stars. Children who are loved by everybody, children who are liked by everybody, everybody wants to play with them, everybody wants to study with them, and their parents and teachers are very happy about them. Then there are mixes, they are like average children who are not either disliked or liked by others. Then there are teacher negatives, children who are not liked by their teachers, but they may be acceptable in the peer group. Or there are some children who are tuned out. Tuned out means they are not aware of whatever is happening around, they are in their own world. Then there are some sociometric rejections. These are the children who are rejected by their peer group because of whatever reason. It can be on the basis of their appearance, it can be because of some abilities or disabilities which they may have, or the kind of background which they are coming from, or the kind of linguistic background. There are a number of factors which can contribute to some, and these children can be a, if somebody is not accepted by their own peer group, it can be a problem for that child, and it can be a very negative thing for the development of this child's self concept. Another thing is gender. In some societies, yes, there is no distinction made between boys and girls, but yes, in many societies there is lot of distinction which is made between boys and girls. Girls are supposed to be like that, or supposed to be doing this and not doing certain other things. Boys are supposed to be doing this. It has an impact on their self concept. These days we also talk about the third gender or the transgenders. So children who are born as third genders, they are discriminated against at every level, to the extent that they are not even accepted by their own families. So this is something which is very thought provoking, and we need to be looking into it. Other factors may be socioeconomic status and abilities. Children coming from poor socioeconomic status, they may, if they are placed in a school in which most of the children are coming from affluent backgrounds, it can have a negative impact on their self concept. Same is ability. Children who are high on ability may tend to develop higher or positive self concept, and children who are low on abilities or are having some kind of disabilities may think that they are not as good as others and may have negative self concept. Successes and failures. So how much success and how much failures a child is experiencing. The basic, you can say the bottom line is, each and every child needs to feel happy about himself or herself and taste success and genuine appreciation. These things will go a long way in developing a positive self concept among children. So each and every child needs to feel success and feel happy about himself or herself. Now we come to the other topic, that is bullying, and we know that bullying is these days is a grave problem. Children are being bullied in various forms. Now various forms of bullying may be physical, mental, verbal, exclusion, or sexual. Now physical bullying is when somebody is physically, you can say, maltreating a child or trying to, beat him or her up. Verbal is passing off some comments. Mental is also not including somebody, or mentally is also not going and making friends, or anybody who tries to make friends you're trying to dissuade. There are different forms of it. Exclusion is not including the child in your daily or routine activities, and you can also have sexual bullying these days. Now the thing is that children, since they are very young, they may not be physically competent enough or strong enough to take care of the bully. So what to do, or what should the children do? And many times children don't even know that they are being bullied, or this is something which is not to be done, and they don't know what to do in these circumstances. So the onus is on the parents as well as on the teachers to let the children know well in advance that this is something which is not to be done, and nobody should be taking these things lying down. Also, there is a notion somewhere that bullying is cool. Somebody who is a bully is considered to be okay, that person is very strong. Whereas psychological studies have proven that the basic purpose or the basic psyche of any bully is that the person feels himself or herself as inferior from within, and in order to overcome those feelings of inferiority tries to bully others and feel good or superior about himself or herself. So what kind of avoidance techniques or what kind of tackling techniques can we teach our children? One is avoiding. If you feel that you are all alone and you feel that you are going to meet your bullies somewhere around, so best option is to avoid the situation. Using humor to diffuse a bully. Say if the child is old enough, but if the child is not old enough, the child will not be able to do that. Dealing assertively, making a child learn assertive skills is very important. If children need to learn how to assert themselves in a nice manner. Recruiting a friend, say a buddy is there who looks after the child, if that can be done. Telling a child, the children have to be told repeatedly over and over again that if they are going through, or somebody is trying to tease them, bully them, they need to reach out to an adult. It can be an older sibling, it can be a teacher, it can be a parent, it can be anybody whom the child trusts. Spread the word that bullying is bad for the bully. It is not, there is nothing good about bullying others. It is basically not cool. Increasing of social opportunities so that children are able to learn social skills and emotional skills, and they learn that these things happen within their peer group, and so that they come out successful. Instilling feelings of empathy. Now, empathy is very important. Empathy is putting yourself in the shoes of somebody else, and empathy is something which we are not born with. So it has to be inculcated, right? So children have to learn to empathize with others, and this is again the onus falls on the teachers as well as the parents, that they need to make the students learn how to empathize with others. Children may not have those feelings of empathy. You may have seen children can be at times extremely, they can be extremely nasty towards each other. So, and it comes from within, and it's not that it's the child's fault. It's because they are still not developed human beings, they are still not developed their social and emotional skills, they are still in their processes of development. So, the development of empathy is a very important aspect of their social and emotional growth, and this needs to be inculcated. Teaching self-defense, yes, it is very important in order to ward off bullies. The children, they need to learn how to take care of themselves, and tell the children fighting back is not an option. They may harm themselves. So, because while seeing movies and all, they may feel that they are strong enough to take care of the bully. No, it's not like that. They may harm themselves in a very bad manner. So, fighting back is not an option, but yes, telling others, telling a parent, telling teachers, these are some of the options which children should told that they should take recourse to these options. Now, let us come to another very grave issue of children when the kind of emotional trauma they go through when, if their parents are separating, or if their parents are divorcing, or if they lose their parent, one parent or both the parents. So, we all know that losing a parent can be or there can be nothing more you can say grave than losing somebody's parent. So, there are a mixture of feelings, feelings of sadness, they become fearful about the other members of their family also, feelings of insecurity, helplessness, feelings of being abandoned by the missing. The parent simply abandons the child or goes somewhere else. So, the child is supposed to, or child is maybe feeling very bad about it. Intense anger, loneliness, these are some of the feelings that are typically associated with losing one's parent. Now, what measures we as teachers can take? So, we cannot bring the parent back. So, what else that is what we can do? Focus on resilience. This is very important. Resilience is bouncing back. The child should know, and that is the, instilling hope in the mind of the child that okay, this is something which if it has happened, it is okay, it happens. There is life beyond that. And how do you bounce back? So, it's basically resilience is very important. Reminders of love, let there be repeated reminders of love. Say if there is something going on within the family between both the parents, mother and the father, and if one of them is going off, so the other parent may also be in a lot of turmoil and may not be able to support the child emotionally. So, here the child can be, or the teachers can take on this role of supporting the child and reminding that there are people who love this child. Encourage to talk. Encourage the child to talk about his or her feelings, and respect the boundaries also. If you feel that there are times when the child would want to be alone or would want not to come out with his or her feelings, it is okay, let the child be. The thing is that we need to make the child understand that there are people who are there for the child. So, empathy on the part of other students, stories and incidents which instill positive thoughts. So, letting the child come in contact with other children who may have undergone the same circumstances. So, it will help the child in bouncing back. It will help the child in understanding that okay, this is also something which happens and it's okay to move on. and involving the child in activities, creative activities, social activities, focus on life skills. These days, yes, CBSE also has given a lot of importance on inculcation of life skills. So, we are talking of mental skills, we are talking of social skills, and we are talking of the emotional skills. So, life skills are very important, and overall sensitization. Now, in this particular module, let us check your progress. Let us think of instances from your own childhood which you think are instrumental in making the person that you are today. How can we ensure that our children will grow up with positive self concept? What is bullying? What are its various forms? How can we as teachers orient our children to tackle bullying? And what effect does losing a parent have on a child's psyche? How can we as teachers be a pillar of strength for all of these children? So, that is all for this particular module. Thank you so much.